On this week's inCycle, we talk to Brian Kamstra about pro cycling with diabetes.
I went to the doctor and they discovered that I got diabetes. All the puzzle parts fell in places.
Alexis Ryan and what it's like being an American racing amongst Europe's finest.
I've come over to Europe for the past couple springs, so I knew what I was getting myself into.
A man whose dedication in developing young talents has seen some of today's stars start with humble beginnings.
You can think that they might develop into something, but I don't hold out any great hopes. They've got to go and do it first.
But first, a unique insight into the 107th Milan-San Remo. Milan-San Remo, cycling's longest test. Yet despite its 300 kilometers, it so often ends in a sprint battle. Our guide to this year's Primavera is a man who knows a thing or two about frustrating the sprinters.
Durbridge in front, Keisse behind, but look at the huge mass of riders chasing them.
Most recently in Milan itself, when he took a daring Giro stage victory.
Ethics Quickstep finally going to get their victory. It's Keisse from a breakaway, and who would have thought it? A sprint day is spoiled.
inCycle met Keisse in Ghent, the scene of his other great exploits in the 6 days on the track, and also the home of his father's cycling cafe. A veteran of the 2014 Primavera, Ilio offered his unique insights as his Ethics Quickstep teammates take on the longest one day of racing of the season.
Bring Gaviria and Stibar as good as possible to the beginning of the Poggio, and then I think Stibar will go and Gaviria will wait for the sprint. That will be only logic.
With 200 riders on the start list, winding roads and high speeds, getting the protected riders to the Cipressa and Poggio is easier said than done.
We've had our first little crash, and it's not good news for Ethics Quickstep. Not good news at all, because Julian Vermote has gone down.
It's difficult to see on television how much stress there is, but everybody tired, a big crash every 5 minutes. There's no straight roads, there's constantly like, and from the guys in front, they can see it and they can anticipate a little bit to every corner. But when you're in the back, you just have to follow, and sometimes when one breaks a little bit in the middle, in the back it's already like... No, Sabatini. Sabatini. Oh, I think he just has to neutralize this breakaway. It's always better to be in, but if you have Os in the front and Stannard, Visconti, as guys you don't want to give too much in front, and now it's Katusha or the teams that have to ride, so our team is relaxed now in the peloton. Relaxed in Milan-San Remo, it's not possible. But...
And it looks as though this little adventure, Dan, is going to come to an end before we get to the start of the Poggio.
Yeah, at this moment you know what to do. They probably, every team director or every team is yelling the same, bring the guys to the front, to the Poggio. Everybody knows what they have to do, but still the best that are in front, or the smartest that are in front, doesn't have so much to do with tactics.
And here goes Kwiatkowski making his move for Team Sky.
Former world champion Michał Kwiatkowski, he's leading the peloton. It's the descent from the Poggio now. Kwiatkowski is giving it a go.
Nibali trying to get across to Kwiatkowski, but he's still got a lead. And this is a man you don't want to let off the leash.
But look at this. We have a big group behind still. And it is Fabian Cancellara who's giving it a go on the left-hand side. It's his last ever Milano-San Remo. He's going to be followed as well by Ethics Quickstep, who still have Trentin there. Sagan at the moment not wanting to follow the move.
Well, Ethics Quickstep did very well to get on the wheel of Cancellara there, because he's gapped the rider in third. He's trying to make his way across to Kwiatkowski, who's still, in fact, he's been caught.
And it's now Cancellara who leads with Trentin on his wheel. And we're back as we were. We have Edvard Boassenhagen at the front giving it his all, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough, as Sagan says that's the move to follow as well. A few little gaps now in the peloton as we're coming up to the very end. It is Gaviria, I think, up the front there. Fernando Gaviria is the fastest, without doubt, ahead of these few riders. On the left-hand side, Nasser Bouhanni as Gaviria goes down. Gaviria is down. Oh, we were marvelling looking at the flag, he was there, and we're into the final few hundred metres. Watch out for Moani on the left-hand side in the red. 200 to go now as we're on Villaroma. On the right-hand side, it is, of course, Arnaud Demar as well. On the left, though, they're going with it. Oh, and look at this. I'm not sure Moani's going to have it. Swift is in there. Demar is there. Oh! And Arnaud Demar. That is huge. And this man will be wondering how on earth he didn't manage to do it.
What we have seen has been very nervous as usual. I think it all went pretty well beside the crash of Vermota, two times crash. I think they were in an okay position in the foot of the Poggio, going to the sprint, and Fernando in perfect position. And then unfortunately he crashed with 250 meters to go. Could have been a really, really nice day for Fernando, for the team. Let's hope he can get over it pretty soon and recover good of his crash, and maybe he can try to win Wednesday here in Flanders.
Now time for our news. With Arnaud Demar winning his first monument at Milan-San Remo, he jumped 25 places and into the top 10 on the UCI World Ranking to 5th place, whilst Richie Porte still holds top spot. And with 2 wins from 3 races on the Women's World Tour, Lizzie Armisted's back to the top of the rankings. Anna van der Breggen and Emma Johansson round out the top 3 ahead of this week's Gent-Wevelgem in Flanders Fields.
I think it's the adventure. Like, I love training, and I love just going out and riding and finding new roads. And even at home, there's still so many more places to explore, but this sport takes you all over the world. And it's such a great way to see a new city or a new country. Ventura, California it's a sleepy beach bum town, not a whole lot going on. I used to surf, I used to run cross country, and my dad got my brother, sister, and I into cycling. I think I was 9 or so when I first started racing. He used to take us to the races every weekend at the crack of dawn. The Santa Ana winds are very hot and dry normally, so the temperature is quite the opposite from Holland, but they're extremely strong, and riding in them is miserable. So it prepares you for being miserable in Holland, racing across dikes with echelons that just make your legs and your lungs scream. But my grandmother was born in Holland, so sometimes when I'm racing in Holland, I feel quite Dutch. I've come over to Europe for the past couple springs, so I knew what I was getting myself into. The bike racing is so different. Here you have so much history and culture, and like the depth of the field is so much greater than it is in the US. And the roads are smaller, so that changes the style of racing. Like in the US, you're racing down massive boulevards. There's maybe 15 riders in the field that could win, as opposed to here with like 40 people in the race who could possibly win. I wanted to be an astronaut, I wanted to be a spy, I wanted to be all kinds of things. But yeah, I mean, I love going to school and getting an education, and I think it's really important. And there's so many things that you could do and so many things that you could be if you really wanted to and set your mind to it. And when I was a junior, I did every discipline, and that really helped me build up all of my skills. Especially mountain bike and cyclocross helps with all kinds of scenarios, especially ones where you're in danger of crashing. Like, I've escaped so many catastrophes, and I didn't even think about it, I just reacted. I have so much farther to go in terms of physical ability, even technical ability, strategic ability, and that's why it's such an incredible opportunity to be on this team. It's mainly tactics that I'm being taught and absorbed and learning from, you know, someone like Trixie, who's been racing for a really long time, and Ronnie, who's a great strategist, and Lisa's been really helpful. She's, you know, so knowledgeable, time trial world champion. Yeah, they've all given me pointers. As far as specializing, I think I'm going to let it play itself out. You know, I'm really young, and I feel like I could go in any direction. And of course, one day I'd like to make the Olympics. I'm shooting for 2020 in Tokyo. In men's cycling, because there's so much more opportunity, there's so many different types of races for them, they can specialize. We really have to embrace all the opportunities that we get because we don't get that many of them. So we need to be good at everything, you know, to really showcase our talents. That's what we're trying to develop here on this team, being a good bike racer, being smart and being strong. Marianne Vos was like a huge idol for me because when I was in junior, I raced a lot of cross. And on the road too, she was really dominant. I've raced in the same race with her a couple times because she's strong in all areas, which, you know, she's physically capable of being the best and mentally, like she's an incredible strategist. A couple years ago, it would have seemed like an odd thing to say that I'm a role model, but yeah, I definitely am starting to experience it now. And hopefully I'm inspiring someone out there to ride because it's a beautiful thing.
Before cycling, I was a runner, a high-level runner. I did cross-country running, was two-time national champion. In 2012, I got really big problems in the season. And then I went to the doctor, and they discovered in the end of July 2013 that I got diabetes. So all the puzzle parts fell in places.
When Brian Kamstra was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes in 2013, his career as a professional athlete looked to be over. But after meeting Team NovoNordisk rider Martin Verskor, his sporting ambitions took him in a new direction.
For me, it was really difficult to find out how I can manage it, and I had nobody, no role model who can teach me how to manage it. And then I met Martin. I find somebody with the same condition as me, and yeah, we got like in really good contact, and we're now like good friends. So he teach me so much about cycling, not only my management for diabetes, but also how to race and how to perform and train. So I got like a new role model.
Martin invited Brian to the Team NovoNordisk training camp, a big gamble, but Verskor saw that Kamstra had the potential.
Sometimes you see how much motivation somebody has, and I see he has the right head, the right motivation. He's just a fighter, and in cycling you need to be a fighter, you need to be smart, and he was a great runner. And I think he has so much motivation that we can give it a try here at the camp.
And it wasn't just his fellow riders who were impressed by the young Assen native. Vasily Davydenko, who oversees the pro team, also quickly saw his potential. And since Kamstra's first camp in 2015, he has risen through the ranks to the pro team.
I was impressed at how exciting he was to join our team. And also I saw physically, just look at him, and he's lean, he's fit. My first opinion was we need to test him and see what's his potential. But in Brian's case, we need to remember that he was champion in the running, and that's why he already has something that, you know, something special.
A graduate from the development squad himself, Kamstra knows its importance for the team.
Yeah, I think it's the most important part of the team, because we need to develop and find riders with this condition and get them to pro cycling events and in the pro squad. So you need to start from basically from the bottom.
And Kamstra's journey has also shown his teammates the importance of using cycling to help others affected by diabetes.
Yeah, I feel like an ambassador now. In the beginning I was just a cyclist, 6-7 years ago. I just want to be a good cyclist. But now you see, like, yeah, we have a great sponsor, and you see, like, it's not only giving money and good luck with cycling, but it is When we go to a race in England, or we go to Tour of Poland, or we go to a race in China, we always communicate, or NovoNordisk is always communicate with the local people with diabetes, and we have a meeting and we share the stories.
As well as this mission off the bike, the team have big ambitions in the saddle too. With 2021 being the 100-year anniversary since the discovery of insulin, Team NovoNordisk are hoping to commemorate this by debuting in the 2021 edition of the Tour de France, and Brian Kamstra is one of their big hopes to lead the team.
Rider like Brian, he could be ready for 2021, and in fact, every rider who's at the early 20s now could be good potential, could be ready for a Grand Tour in 2021, but of course it's a long way to go.
I want to be competitive there, and I'm still trying to find what kind of cyclist I am. If I'm good enough in 2021, I'm probably 27 then, so I should be on like top level then. Got a couple of years of pro cycling, and yeah, hopefully I'm the GC man for the team and can make some good results there. So I'm looking forward to that, and like the progress and like the way to the Tour de France.
So many riders went through his system, if you like, and you know, just for the love of the sport, he didn't get anything out of it. So it was a lot of us are quite grateful to him for that, but to give him the opportunity to race abroad. So
what he taught us, really, without realising that he taught us, was amazing, and just giving us that opportunity to go in there and experience. Because until a couple of years, the racing wasn't at a high enough level in the UK, so we needed to go abroad, and John was a massive help doing that and providing that support.
Learn to look after yourselves and having to look after your bike and that. Just those little life experiences are probably what I got the biggest influence from.
Wiggins, Swift, Cavendish, some of the biggest names in British cycling who have all tasted success on the greatest stages, and all started with the same humble beginnings, with trips to junior races in Belgium with Southeast Cycling team coach John Barclay.
As a teenager, I joined the local club, rode a few time trials, got called up when I was 18 to do national service in the Air Force, and then I joined the Festival Road Club because I had some interest in some of the riders there, and then some of them said, oh, let's go and race in Belgium. So I went over with them, and in those days it was a rucksack on your back, ride down to Dover, get the ferry up to Zeebrugge, and then ride to Ghent. And then I started getting involved with taking teams away when a friend of mine got an invite for the Ghent Ypres, and he couldn't handle it, so he passed it on to me. So that Ghent Ypres was the first big race I did.
John is a guy who just takes everybody, or everybody who's been a cyclist in the UK, he takes them to Belgium for a trip when they're junior. So that's what happened to me. I think it was 1989 when I first went away with John Barclay, and I think he'd been doing it then for about 40 years, and he's still doing it now.
A lot has changed over the decades that Barclay's been travelling over to Belgium, but there has been a steady improvement in results for his riders.
To start with, it was a case of could they finish the race. That was the first objective when they first went over there. But eventually they got better at it, and then they not only finished the races, they started winning them. And that's the way it's been ever since.
Despite having taken many future stars on their first racing trip abroad, Barclay's always been reluctant to guess who would go on to bigger things.
I never try and foresee their future career. That'll be... You can think that they might develop into something, but I don't hold out any great hopes. They've got to go and do it first. With Mark, definitely not. No, he was overweight, unfit, and not very impressive at that time. I think Rod Illingworth did a wonderful job with Cav.
Even today, Barclay's old-school approach to cycling still sees top young riders queuing up to go on his trips, and the alumni remember them fondly.
I always remember going over with Carv a few times, and he'd always get mega angry at Carv because he had this new car with some fancy button on the boot that closed the boot or something. And Carv would always slam the boot of his car. Every time, like, bloody hell, Carv, you know, stop slamming the boot, there's a button and you're going to break it. So every time, just to annoy him, Carv would slam the door and just stupid little things like that. And I'm sure we drove him crazy. Like.
It was a lot of fun. There's a lot of young guys, like, and I just remember actually at the time, like, that Eminem album came out, Marshall Mathers LP, and I just got played, and I can remember, like, everyone changing words and that, and just singing them. Being in these bunk beds, like, in this kind of dormitory thing, like, nothing swish, eating these jacket potatoes that were made with, like, tin foil and that. That was good. It was definitely good for our life.
We got to the changing rooms, got changed, and just as we was pulling out, we loaded all the bikes back on what would have been his Peugeot or his Mercedes, one or the other. Just as we were pulling out of the car park, we clipped a Burger Band's latch, and it pulled the whole roof rack off, just like, as though it just slid off and just dropped on the floor.
And his trips are still bringing results, with the Southeast cycling team's Ethan Hayter coming out on top of the junior Kern-Brussels-Kern earlier this year.
Oh, every trip with John's been great because it's just learned so much. Just a bit more freedom than if you go away with other people, and you learn a lot to look after yourself, and you get a lot of racing opportunities which you don't normally get.
Barclay's first trip to Belgium was over 40 years ago and has since given hundreds of young riders their first taste of racing abroad, and he shows no desire to stop anytime soon.
I can't foresee the future. I don't know. I will carry on doing it while I can do it, and while I've got people helping me.
That's all for this week. Join us next time on inCycle, but until then, keep up to date with us on social media.